Recorder. All right, we are ready to go. The YouTube is live and the recorder is on.
Okay, so welcome everybody to the Red Hook Zoning Board of Appeals meeting on December 8th, 2021. And our first order of business is to look at the minutes of November 10th, 2021, which have been distributed. Does anyone have any comments or corrections?
No, I don't.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Who seconded? I'm sorry.
I seconded.
Okay.
I heard two ayes.
Yes. Chris Close says aye.
Chris Carney says aye.
Wonderful, great, okay. And a flashback to July 14th, still waiting approval. We finally have 3 members. I will not be voting on that. Can I get a motion to approve the July 14th minutes?
I so move.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Can you hear me?
Great. Yeah, just barely. Thank you. Okay.
Change my microphone settings.
Okay. I did review the planning board minutes, the last minutes that were available. It was 2 meetings ago, and there was nothing that we need to concern ourselves with, that I believe. If there was anything more recent, we'll have to find out as the minutes appear online. I do want to let the members know that I spoke to the town supervisor, Robert McKeon, about the fact that we have only 4 members. And last meeting we had, as we sometimes do, someone is not able to attend, and we had some technical issues, and it was a close call on whether we would maintain our quorum. And he said that he is aware that we have only 4 members on our 5-member board, and we have no alternates. There are a few applicants to fill those positions, apparently, but they are aware and they are looking to try to increase our numbers. So just to let you know. Since the last meeting, Ann Rubin, our clerk, has discussed with me the need to increase the escrow amount that we currently collect, and to change our procedures so that they're consistent with the planning boards, so that the escrow amount would be collected and all the fees for the public mailings to the neighbors of the affected properties and for the public meeting, the public hearing notices would be deducted from the escrow amount. And you want to very briefly tell us the reasons for the changes?
Sure. It's been customary for the ZBA to request a secondary payment from every applicant to cover the cost of the certified mailings to every neighbor within a 300-foot radius of the subject parcel and every municipality within a 500-foot radius. That was before, that dates from the time that the ZBA collected no escrow. So it was at that time the only additional payment that the ZBA collected. In May of 2015, the town board changed our fee schedule and voted in favor of the ZBA collecting escrow. I would like to streamline that process by simply asking for sufficient escrow to cover attorney fees and the cost of the certified mailing to neighbors, and for the publication of a public hearing notice in our journal of record, the Poughkeepsie Journal. Our fees have not changed since 2015, but the costs for attorneys, the costs for the certified mailings, and the cost for the public hearing notices have all gone up significantly. And so we need to be asking the applicants for a sufficient amount to cover that.
And would that be, we currently charge, or I'm sorry, ask for escrow $500. I think you suggested $750 would be,
750. I mean,
Appropriate.
sometimes if something is very complicated, it's necessary to request a secondary deposit to cover additional attorney fees. But I would say in most cases, that should be sufficient.
okay. I think we don't want to create too high a barrier to, people making an application. So
And
if you feel that,
I just want to say every cent of remainder, there are no administrative costs associated with this. So whatever the remainder is, that is returned to the applicant.
no, that we understand, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so personally, I think that the idea of having our collection system, fee system consistent with the planning boards is a very good idea. And I, accept Ann's recommendation that $750 would be an appropriate amount. Any other comments?
No, I agree.
Before everyone was here, I did ask our attorney, Patrick Logan, about this. And I think that we need to put this to a vote. I guess what we just need to do is say, all in favor of raising the escrow amount to $750?
Chris Close, aye.
Jim Hegstetter, nay.
Do you want to, I'm sorry, before we do this, Jim, do you want to discuss that at all?
Yeah, I
mean,
think it's going to be absurd. I think it's going to be absurd, the amount of money that people are having to post right now. And
I agree.
I hear about it all the time, and I think there's a lot of local issues that are disconcerting to me, because I talk to people all the time. I'm in the community.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I think it's in bad form for us to raise the fee, and I understand the reason why, but it's a barrier to people wanting to do the right thing, which is come in front of this committee and this board. And I just think that we make people shy away.
So
wanting to do the right thing.
the result is, so we can also not raise it, Jim, but what
You could also
happens
not have to have counsel on every single hour of the call too, which I think also raises the fee.
because the cost of certified mailings has gone up significantly, and the cost of the public hearing notice has gone up significantly. What happens is I end up having to ask the applicant for more anyway.
And maybe just to clarify,
Okay.
can you give us
Understand
any idea on how many out of 10 applications, how many do you have to ask? I understand I'm putting you on the spot here, but can you quantify that in any way to maybe let Jim and the rest of us understand what the?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I wish I could. I wish I could say, but it happens often enough, not always, but often enough. that-
If I could chime in real quick. When
I'm
this
sorry, who's
question was,
speaking?
this is Patrick.
Oh, I just couldn't see your mouth.
I can get that information, looking
Yeah.
over files and things.
I just want to chime in. When this question was first presented, I was under the impression that the increased costs had to do with the reviews themselves. If it really is increased costs that are part of administrative procedures, then you might want to talk to the town board about adjusting the fees themselves rather than the escrow, which is supposed to be for the professional reviews. In any event, it sounds like we might want some information from Anne regarding how often she does need to ask for an increased amount. And we might want to put this off till another meeting in order to get that information.
And would you be able to quantify then so that we could present to the town board an estimate of the increased costs of the mailings?
Sure.
An average, obviously they vary from time to time.
Yeah, and you were saying you wanted to be in line with the planning board. That's how the planning board is handling it. The applicant pays escrow, and the planning board deducts the cost of the certified mailings and the cost of the public hearing notice in the newspaper from the escrow. So, I mean, yeah, we could approach it by increasing the fees, but
I just feel like the fees are an absolute expense to the applicant. Whereas if it goes into escrow, what isn't actually used is returned to the applicant.
yeah, I was just
So
going to say
that's the
that.
problem with that.
There are people with 5 neighbors, and there are people with 19 or 25 neighbors. And so by increasing the fees, it almost becomes a moot point whether you have many or few neighbors. And also the cost of the public hearing notice, that goes line by line. And so it's a different cost for every applicant.
I would like, I mean, my preference would be to see those costs related directly to the particular application, not have a blanket cost that, you know, disproportionately affects individuals that have very simple and applications with few
I
neighbors.
concur with Kate. I think Kate is absolutely spot on. That's exactly what I'm feeling.
So,
That's why I voted nay.
okay, well, I would say that I get Patrick's point, but I do feel that we should not simply raise the fees and hit every applicant when only some are actually incurring those costs. So, which takes us back to an increase of the escrow amount. If the board members would like more time to consider this or more time to get information from Anne, that's, you know, please let us know. That's certainly possible. We don't have to vote on this tonight.
In light of this discussion then, which has enlightened me, may I please withdraw my vote? To
You may.
consider the issue.
Okay, and so, Mr. Close, I take that that's because you would like more specific information from Anne?
No, I think I've been persuaded by your position, and I personally am against raising fees at all possible, because that is a very dicey, politically sensitive issue always. And I think if there are a few cases that require additional funding for direct mail costs and notification, then let that be on a case-by-case basis, because I assume, and from what you said, maybe, 5 neighbors is within the bounds of the current escrow account of $500 or less, and that the 19 or more neighbors could be higher than $500. So that's why I'm withdrawing my vote on consideration of the discussion that ensued.
Well, okay, I think that what Anne was saying is that the current $500 amount is frequently insufficient to cover the attorney fees and the costs of the mailing and the publication. And she felt that an increase to $750 would enable us to manage that and streamline the process for the applicants, which is a huge, going after them for this kind of check and that kind of check and running it into town hall. It's becomes onerous on the applicants.
But I take Jim's point as well, that should be a separation of professional services and the administrative services, if that's at all possible and reasonable to do without furthering our administrative costs, at least which go unpaid, but certainly are fulfilled by Anne, who many times is working without pay for the amount of hours, I presume, that she does for us all, including hand delivering to each of us the package of information prior to each meeting. So I think now we've opened a little bit of a larger discussion.
Okay, Chris Carney, any comments or thoughts at this point?
I agree. We need another discussion, much larger discussion about this. It seems that what Anne is saying is what we need to accommodate the larger costs. It's in direct contradiction to many of the applicants, and perhaps they're limited budgets, and I'm a little concerned with that. So I think we do need to talk about this at another point.
Okay, so what I'm taking from all the comments is that we should defer a vote to a later meeting, that Anne will go back and let us know, give us actual numbers on what the costs have been, when she's had to ask for additional amount for the escrow accounts, and then we'll be, if we have to raise fees, we'll have a very good understanding, not fees, I mean the escrow account, a very good understanding of why that would be. And just to get back to you, Jim, I understand, and I am very concerned about raising barriers to applicants. But the 500, if we raise the 500, understand that the costs of then the applicants wouldn't be asked further to come in with checks for the mailings and the publications, that would be deducted from the escrow amount. So one way or another, they're paying it.
Yeah, right now they're asked to pay it separately. It would streamline the process.
So it doesn't actually increase the cost, but the barrier is there in that the initial amount of money would be would be higher to some extent.
That's right. It would be.
So I would suggest then that.
But the further concern, as I hear it from Jim, is the cost of professional services. And how do we reduce those? Is that correct, Jim?
That's what I'm hearing from people that have approached me locally, that have said, this is a very small item for me. It's just it's a fence between me and a neighbor. We both get along, but it's something I have to resolve. And by the time I get done here, it's costing me almost $1,500 to do this. And the cost of the fence is sometimes $4,000 or $3,000. So I'm sensitive to what people are running into, and I am frustrated with.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I understand. And I think we need to put that aside, and maybe we can talk about that. This, we don't have to take this meeting time to do that, but maybe we can have a discussion.
We have counsel on board, and nothing against you, Patrick. I'd like to have counsel all the time. It would be wonderful. It's nice that we have professional representation, but the occurrence of this, people have told me, makes it very, very costly for them. So they're sometimes just consider not going by the letter of the law. And I'm a member of this board, so I can't dissuade them. I said, you have to do what you have to do. But I think it's becoming unreasonable. That's all I'm saying.
Noted. Okay, so Anne, we'll look to you for more information, and we'll resume this topic at the next will be the January meeting. Okay, is that agreeable to everyone?
Thank you.
It is with me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Now, the first item on the agenda is the board review of a previous decision regarding an interpretation. We have received from the attorneys a formal resolution. We previously did vote to uphold the ZEO's determination that the parcel, and I forget the number, whatever it was, but the Jane Levy's parcel was in violation. So what we have now is simply a resolution to look through, but we have voted to approve the ZEOs to affirm his determination.
Patrick, do you want to display that resolution?
Yes, I'll do that. I need you to enable screen sharing.
Yes, hold on. I did this wrong. Sorry, hit the wrong button. I apologize. Multiple participants. There we go. Okay, you should be able to go ahead.
Up there.
Is it working? Okay.
All right. Are you seeing my resolution?
Yes.
All right. So to just go over this, this is a the formalized written resolution that reflects the discussion that was had at last month's meeting. The whereases reflect the history of the property. So whereas on September 12, 1983, the previous owners of an approximately 5.5 acre property located at 30 Blue Echo Road, identified as parcel number, submitted an application for area variances to the Town of Red Hook ZBA in order to construct a new 2-story 6-unit building thereon, which required an area variance for increased density. A density of up to 1 dwelling unit per acre was required at the time, and for the expansion of a non-conforming use by more than 50% because the property already contained 6 dwelling units. Whereas on November 2nd, 1983, the ZBA denied the request for the area variances. Whereas on February 14th, 1984, the Town of Red Hook Building Department issued a building permit in order to allow the construction of a 1-story 3-unit building on the property, which did not require any area variances. Whereas the prior owners of the property constructed a 2-story 6-unit building in the spring of 1984 in violation of the building permit. Whereas on June 8th and July 11th, the zoning officer issued 2 orders to remedy, alleging that the construction of that building was in violation of the 1984 permit and the zoning law. Whereas in February of 1985, the town commenced legal proceedings against the prior owners, alleging that the structure was not in conformity with the zoning regulations and required a certificate of occupancy. Whereas the prior owners of the property appeared in justice court and pled guilty to both counts and were ordered by the courts to remedy the violation. And whereas the violation of the 1984 building permit was never remedied and the 6-unit 2-story building remains in use. And whereas, bringing us up to the current day, on July 31, 2021, the ZEO issued a notice of violation order to remedy, alleging the property was in violation of the density requirements of the zoning law, the notice of violation. Whereas the applicant Jane Levi has submitted an appeal of the notice of violation, the appeal, whereas pursuant to SECR, this is type 2 action, whereas a duly noticed public hearing was held on November 10th, whereas pursuant to the town law, the ZBA is authorized to hear appeals from the ZEO and reverse, affirm, wholly or partly, or modify that determination. Whereas the ZBA has reviewed all relevant submissions, information, and documents pertaining to the appeal. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the ZBA makes the following findings in accordance with Section 267B1 of the town law regarding the appeal of the notice of violation. 1. The 6-unit 2-story building at the property was constructed in violation of the 1984 building permit, which only permitted a 3-unit 1-story building. 2. The 6-unit 2-story building at the property was also constructed and used in contravention of the zoning law, which, among other things, only permitted a density of up to 1 dwelling unit per acre. The property was already non-conforming in this regard in 1984 as it contained 6 dwelling units. 3, the violation of the property was never remedied as the 6-unit 2-story structure remains and is still in use as a 6-unit building. 4, as these additional 6 dwelling units were never permitted in the first instance, they do not constitute a legally non-conforming use. 5, to the extent the ZBA never issued an area variance to allow the additional units and the building on the property still contains 6 units, while a maximum of 3 permitted on the property, it is a violation of zoning law 14356A. And finally, the notice of violation is upheld and modified to the extent it may be inconsistent with the findings herein. So if you would like to suggest any alterations or edits, you can do so. Otherwise, if this reflects the board's discussions and findings, you could just move to adopt.
I make a motion to move to adopt.
I just want to ask something. So Jim Hickstetter was not there when the board first voted on upholding the ZEO. So I wanted to ask Patrick, does he have to recuse himself?
No, Jim can vote on this.
Okay. All right.
Second, the motion.
Yeah.
Who made the motion?
Jim
I
Hickstetter.
did.
Jim, okay, and do we have a second?
I second the motion. Chris Close.
All in favor of adopting the resolution?
Aye.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you, Patrick. Okay, So now we can go on to the public hearing. The first item on the agenda is it Eversley or Eversley? Eversley, I'm going to go with. LLC, the application to install a ground-mounted medium solar energy system in the front yard of the subject parcel at 245 Woods Road in the town. And the zoning law currently prohibits ground-mounted medium solar energy systems in front yards. Okay, is there anyone here who wishes to speak from the public? I'm sorry, can we get a motion to open the public hearing?
I so move.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, is there anyone here from the public who wishes to speak?
I did not receive any written comments, phone calls, emails from anyone. I will check the office email one last time. No, I do not have anything from
Okay.
any member of the public.
Okay, so we have Lorraine Harvey here. She's representing the applicants, Mr. Neville Manning and Eversley. Do any of the board members have any questions for her? Jim, I don't think you were here last time she presented. I don't know if you have any.
I was not. I'm lucky to be here tonight.
Well, we're glad to have you.
Yeah.
Just got in.
I don't know if you had a chance, but I did walk out on the site, and
I was
I can.
waiting to see who would show up tonight and to speak, and I so there's nobody at all, right, from the adjacent parcels or anybody that has any commentary.
Right, yeah. And I took a walk out there, and, this is one of these enormous properties. They've got this incredible water view shed,
Yeah, I saw on the map. I had not had a chance to go out. I wanted to drive out there and see it.
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
it.
You have to. I walked in behind a guy that was blowing leaves because there's lots of signs up telling you, trying to ask him if it was okay to walk on, but he ignored me. So I went in.
I did get a phone call from the people who I believe are across the road. It was a Ron Cohen from Edgewood Club. So he did speak to me and say that he had no concerns. He asked a couple of questions and about the visibility and whatnot. And he said that he can't see anything. If it were in the middle of the property, he wouldn't be able to see it at all.
Oh, the
Well-
golf course?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, I know where it is.
Well,
Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say, interesting, but since he has failed in himself to show up,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anecdotal.
we have no opposition from anyone or any comments from anyone in the public. If we don't have any questions, we can close the public hearing and move to a vote.
I move to close the public hearing.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so we have a resolution. Does everyone have it that Anne prepared on this?
I have one question, and I can direct this at Lauren. I'm sorry, what was your first name?
Lorene.
Lorene, I'm sorry.
I answer to all of the above, basically. It's
Yeah,
fine.
I hate to mispronounce people's names with a name like Hegstetter. We don't get that.
Yeah.
Hey, try cracker ass, but go ahead.
Had a close call for a while.
Right. So the array is going to be facing which direction?
South.
Southeast? Southeast?
I should actually have a better bearing on that exactly, but
I saw the package, but the pictures, can people visibly see that from down from the water?
no, and that because there is, I don't know if you want me to screen share, but the way that the
Sure, go
natural screening, okay. Is that okay, Anne?
Yes,
I got
yes.
it.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I'm taking notes and I'm gonna just multiple, yes, you should be able to do that because
Totally.
check the box that says
Okay.
multiple participants can share screen.
Got it. Okay. So you can see what I've got.
Yeah,
So with all this natural screening here, it's kind of with this just on the other side, it's pretty dense here. So I don't see how, because the waterfront being on this side,
Okay.
you'd have to have a really tall boat from what I could tell. And from the photos that we have from the site survey.
how high is the bank down to the river?
Ooh, I do believe I have a topographical. I don't know if that helps you.
Not really.
So this indicates 50. This is 25. We're 175 here.
Yeah.
If I could read anything or what have you, just let me know.
There are trees on top of the bank, right? Yes.
Yeah, go back to that photo
Go
you
back
just
to
had.
that.
Yeah,
This
that
one?
one.
Gotcha.
You can see the trees in front of the
Yeah.
That's
array.
what I looked at. I saw that one. That's where I was kind of curious as to
Yeah,
if it would have any, I don't know how high up the elevation was, but you've answered my question.
Yeah. Yeah. There's plenty of trees here. There's plenty of trees here. So it's kind of,
well, the trees are on the waterfront too. That's what you want.
yeah.
Okay. I'm good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yep. Should I stop sharing?
Yes,
Sure.
Lorraine, you can stop sharing.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what you might otherwise need.
Okay, if there's no other questions, we can go to the variance resolution. Does everybody have it? The
Yes.
application 21-07, Castleman Solar Everly LLC Grid. Okay, we've got the whereas, and we could discuss the pertinent facts first. I think foremost is that the array will not be visible to neighbors and that it's well buffered by vegetation. Anybody else, please? I think it's the one, according to the application, it is really the only feasible area that preserves the
Exactly.
view for the property owner, provides the adequate sunlight in the area, and doesn't interfere with the other overlays on the property. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we have to be 1,000 feet from the waterfront basically. And we're just barely beyond the 1,000 feet to be where we are. So if you were to remove that whole designated area and we're left with the remaining property, that really would be more considered the backyard as much as could be considered, I suppose.
And that is not feasible because
I don't know what you. what
you're
do you mean?
saying if you remove the area that's within 1,000 feet from the waterfront.
Yeah, so it's basically
then
if you cut it right in half almost, so the left side, if you will, of the property is unusable given that 1,000-foot setback we have to meet. So we're right on the other side of the 1,000-foot setback. So if you were only considering the remaining amount of the property, it really is as far back as can be. So if that section, the right section that isn't in that designated area, if that were considered on its own, it really would be the backyard as much as we could have it be.
Okay, I understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Any
It's hard
other
to word
fact-
that.
Okay. Any other facts that anyone wants to note? Okay, so moving on to the first question, which the variance requested will not produce an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. I agree with that.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, so 4 agree. The needs of the applicant cannot be achieved by other than an area variance. I agree with that.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay. 4. The requested variance is not substantial. Well, I would say it is substantial because it takes it completely, will be completely located in the front yard, but the impact is not substantial.
Uh,
I would concur.
I agree.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, if you want to reword that for me, I won't take
Fine.
offense.
Good job.
Okay, so for an agreement, the requested variance will not affect the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. I agree.
Agreed.
Yep. Agree.
It will not.
The hardship for which the variance is sought to rectify was not self-created. It was self-created.
Agreed.
Yes.
If they hadn't built there, they wouldn't request it, so it's there, so it
Of
is.
course it is, yeah.
Yep, okay, and the variance being granted is the minimum variance to meet the needs of the applicant. I accept the applicant's representation that that is correct.
I concur.
I agree.
As do I.
So we have passed the variance application. Patrick, do we need something more formal? Will you be preparing that for us for adoption, or are we good to go?
I believe we're just going to go with an edit to it that Ann will prepare based on tonight's discussion. Is that correct, Ann?
Yes, I
Yes.
filled out the form.
I will say, though, that I think you actually should have a motion and second to approve the resolution as a whole.
Okay, thank you. Can I get that motion to approve the
I
resolution as a
move to
whole?
accept the resolution.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great.
Just remind, it is conditional on payment of all fees and escrow. We
Hey,
remind
don't
everyone.
forget to pay.
Yeah, that was a discussion earlier. Yes, I can feel free to chime in on any input from the outside perspective on that if you'd like.
Thank you for the offer.
Sure. I'll be on.
Okay.
Oh, and okay, so this was
I'd love to hear it.
Chris
Yeah.
Close. Chris Close and Jim Hegstetter. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Okey doke. Thank you very much. We can go on to the next matter on the agenda, which is the public hearing for
Thank
the
you.
Hey,
Thank
good luck
you.
to you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
application for a variance. Let's see, how do they word this here? Okay. For an area variance, it says to remedy the town of New York ZEO Fennell's notice of violation. What is this? Does this make? Anyway, it is to allow the existing currently illegal 3 units, dwelling units on the property to remain in place. Which currently is a violation of the terms of the permit that it was given. Section 143-56A of the Town of Red Hook zoning law limits the number of living units on the subject parcel to 3. Okay, and this is the property located at 30 Blue Echo Road in Red Hook in the R1.5 zoning district. Okay, we are here for a public hearing. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, is there anyone here from the public who wishes to speak regarding this application? No, and did we get any input from the public?
No, no
Okay.
comment.
Okay. So I do want to say to Mr. Krogan, you submitted on behalf of your clients some documents and a letter. They were submitted after the submission date, and therefore they will not be considered at this meeting. It is up to you and your client if you wish, if you feel that the contents of that communication was sufficiently important, we can put this matter and continue the public hearing at the next meeting, or we can go ahead tonight. It is your choice.
You can go ahead tonight and I'll just verbally do the letter into the record.
Okay, yeah, it seemed to be pretty much a recapitulation of your prior communications. So, okay, so we have no one here from the public. So can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
I move to close the public hearing.
Second,
Aye.
all
Aye.
in favor?
Who
Aye.
seconded? I'm sorry,
I
there
did.
were,
Jim Hegstetter did.
Thank you.
Aye. Okay, so. Okay, now here's the. God. And we do have a draft variance resolution for that as well. I think many of the facts, the pertinent facts are the same as on the prior resolution to affirm the ZEO's finding of a violation. I guess the only other pertinent fact would be that no neighbors appeared to object to the application. Any board member want to add any pertinent facts to this?
I have none.
I have one question that went unanswered from the prior meeting, which is what are the rents for these properties on this parcel?
The total rents for each
No.
unit?
Yeah, by unit, what are the rents?
I would
I
have to
understand they vary in
defer.
size, but you know,
I'm not sure of the relevance.
well, to me, it is relevant because I did visit the site and my understanding is that this is affordable housing. But I want to have some notion of what some confirmation of that, not just my visual assessment.
Well, I would defer to Mr. and Mrs. Levy. Are they on? They should be.
I see they're on there muted at the moment.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Yes, the rents range from 500 to 1,000.
Okay, so this is affordable housing.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Okay, and I mean, at least to me, that is pertinent because while there's obviously a long history here and various issues, one overall issue for the town of Red Hook right now is the availability of affordable housing. And so that's that problem, and the fact that this is affordable housing, to me personally, is pertinent.
Okay.
Any other member have any other questions?
I wasn't in disregard for what Richard had said, but I understand what the point you just made. I'm torn because I just sat through the new proposed law change in G by the town.
The short-term rentals law.
Yeah, and I'm not. I guess I'm gonna hold my tongue on this.
Yeah, you can always unleash it later.
Yeah,
But it's
I
hard to take
believe
it back
me,
once the words are out.
Yeah, believe me, I wanted to during that meeting, but I didn't. So I'll just defer, Kate. I understand where you're going with that. Thank you.
Okay, you know, it's
I have
there's
a question.
okay, so the first item on the resolution, the
Madam
factors that,
Chair,
I'm sorry,
Madam Chair, I have a question.
of course.
Mrs. Levy, could you please tell us whether, and I have not inspected the inside of the property, I know the property since I grew up here. Do each of these units have a kitchen and a bathroom and a bedroom and a living room?
Yes.
Yes.
So there are now currently 6 units in the one building that should have been 3 units, but has not been for damn near 40 years. And
Correct.
you have
Right.
other rental units on the property?
Correct.
How many?
Yes.
For a total of
It's
12.
a total of 12.
Total of 12.
You have 6 of those units and then 6 additional units. And are they at the same rental cost prices?
Yes.
Similar
Yes.
range,
All
yes.
similar.
And are they fully occupied?
Yes.
All 12 of them?
Yes.
Yes.
And they have been regularly occupied, or are they intermittently occupied?
No.
No, regularly,
Yeah, fully.
I'm answering.
Oh, I'm sorry.
regularly occupied, yes.
For some years
Oh, yes.
by the same people.
Yes, it's a very stable tenancy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they all work in the neighborhood or in Red Hook or environs?
I assume so, yes, as far as I know.
Mhm. Thank you.
Mhm.
Anyone else?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Okay,
Go good.
so the first factor is whether the variance requested will or will not produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. And I will just lead out that we have 12 units on, I believe it's a 5.5 acre, 5.5 acre parcel. This is well above what the zoning permits. But this has been in place for 40 odd years, and therefore I would find it does not produce an undesirable change. Perhaps, if anything, an undesirable continuation, but not a change to the character of the neighborhood.
So I agree with you, Kate.
I concur, but would observe that if the zoning had been followed, there still would have been a density issue in the 1.5 acre zone, because you would take away 3 from the approved, well, the 3 from the 12, you'd take 9, it's still 9 units.
Well, they did get a variance for that, though. That was approved.
That's
The
true.
3, to get
I
to a total of
apologize.
9, so.
That's good,
Yeah.
okay.
Just to clarify, that I know the history on this one is long and convoluted. They at one point had 6 units. They were allowed to expand that by 50% to take it up to 9 units. So that didn't require a variance back then.
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you,
That's-
Patrick.
That's the clarification that was in your memo. I believe.
Yes, that's.
Yeah. Okay, I concur then, Madam Chair.
Okay. So we have.
I agree also.
Okay. The needs of the applicant cannot be achieved by other than an area variance. I would agree with that. If they want to keep the 3 units, and that does require an area variance.
It sure would.
I would
Yes.
agree.
Okay. The required variance is not substantial. Anybody want to talk about that?
I think it is substantial.
Seems
Yeah, I would
like
agree. It is substantial. I'll agree with that.
it's a 33% increase, so I think it is substantial.
I agree, it's substantial.
Okay. The requested variance will or will not affect the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood. I would say it will not.
I agree.
I agree too. I don't
I
think.
agree also.
Okay, the hardship for which the variance is sought to rectify was not self-created. Anyone want to speak to that?
It's been there so long. That's the difficulty that we have kind of pinning it down. I mean, it was self-created, but it wasn't self-created by
Well, I guess we've had some discussion about, I fully accept that the Levies were not aware of the violation when they went into contract, but, or when they purchased the property, but was that the fault of due to a faulty title search or something? I don't know. I would say it is self-created. They purchased the property, and for whatever reason, we're unaware of the actual situation.
I agree because of the basic issue that caveat emptor has always been ignorance is not an excuse for, we know, and under the law, it's unfortunate, it's a mess, but it is self-created because you bought the property.
Could I speak to that, Madam Chairman?
Yes.
There was a title search done, And we responded by saying that there were no violations, that in fact, I think at various times there have been 4 title searches, I think. At various times we said that these units predated, they were grandfathered. We never told the applicant or the title company that there was a violation at the property.
You know, I can't speak to what the title company did or did not. I mean, thank you for that information. I don't know.
We
I don't-
provided that information to the title company.
I understand that. I don't know what else the title company did to
No, I
do
don't
the
either.
searches. I don't know what they conveyed to the levies. I just, you know.
Madam Chair, if I could, one bit of language I might suggest for this, a kind of,
Sure.
I think, hits both sides of the issue, is the difficulty is not self-created to the extent that the current owners are not responsible for the current illegal configuration of the property. However, it is self-created to the extent that they're trying to continue that.
Okay, I would adopt that.
I would like further clarification just on the purchase of the property by the levies, please.
Sure, what would you like to know?
When would they buy it?
They bought it in 2015 from Borelli. Gina Borelli, September 22nd, 2015.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the current, what I understood Patrick to say, that he suggested language that the current violation is not self-created in that the levies are not responsible for creation of the violation, but it is self-created to the extent that they wish to continue the use.
Yes, that's what I would recommend.
I would accept that. How about the other board members?
Yes, I would accept that.
I would agree with that, yes.
Okay. And the variance being granted is the minimum variance to meet the needs of the applicant. I would agree with that.
Yes.
I concur.
I do also concur.
I will ask for a vote to adopt the resolution. I just want to say that I think, and I hope that this doesn't have any effect on anything really, except just tell the levies that I think that at this time, having the availability of affordable housing in Red Hook is really crucial if we want to keep this community diverse, not to become an enclave of the well-to-do, to have people that work in our service industries and the restaurants and everything that we hope to develop as part of, you know, being economically successful and viable in a new world, depends on people being here to work in those industries that are frequently not the highest paid jobs in the world. So I hope that you'll continue to make that kind of housing available. Okay, can I get a motion to
In
approve the
that
variance?
vein, may I just ask, because we're about to move the motion, and this goes right to the heart of what you're talking about, our concern that short-term rentals are of the moment, and there is a huge change in community life when STRs are unregulated. We are about to somehow regulate ours with the new proposed law or some variation of that.
No, we're gonna wipe them out.
As the discussion continues. I'm sorry, I've been involved in this for so long, pardon me, but they're still under discussion. So how they operate, I don't know, but my concern is, Mr. and Mrs. Levy, is that your property, which is now apparently well-run and been occupied in this, if I may say so, a quote unquote family of, you know, Blue Echo, that it maintains, as the chair has suggested, it maintains as affordable housing, that it does not turn into something that is not affordable housing and that remains affordable.
No, we have no intentions of going to short-term rentals
have
or
none.
anything like that. No, we're very happy that we have families and people who work in the area.
I appreciate that. And I want you to understand our comments are simply our comments. Once we get, if we approve the variance, we have no ability to, affect how you use it. But
And
just,
we've had 10
that's just sentiments of some board members and just two of us, so.
Our tenants have been cooks and
Teachers.
Teachers.
Yeah. We have no intention of changing that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
That's lovely to hear. Thank you. Okay, can I get a a motion to adopt the variance resolution as a whole?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, I second Mr. Hegstetter's motion.
Okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. So we'll get a finished resolution. I think that the variance should be to allow the additional unpermitted 3 units to remain in place. It's the draft that we have is vague. It just says to remedy an existing violation. So Patrick or Ann will get that.
Yes, we'll make sure that the language reflects what you all voted on, which
Okay,
is
and
to have those
yeah.
3 units.
And obviously,
approved.
yeah, and obviously the variances are, they go nowhere unless the planning board and the building inspector issues the C of O and everything.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else anyone wishes to discuss tonight, not on the agenda?
I have
Thank
one
you.
piece of unfinished business that goes back to last
Oh,
month.
actually, hold on, I want to interrupt real quick.
Yeah.
We mentioned this was the first application and fees and escrow are on my mind.
Yes,
Can the board please move to clarify that the variance is conditioned on the payment of any outstanding fees or escrow?
Sure.
Not that I think there is any, I'm just saying that's a blanket condition we have. I want to make sure
Okay.
it's included.
So I moved that the variance, granting the variance is conditional on the payment of any outstanding fees and escrow. Is that, Patrick, that's what you want?
Yes, please.
Second.
I so move. All in favor?
Aye.
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 okay.
And you'll let me know if anything additional is owed?
Yes, we will receive a final bill at the beginning of January, and I will be sending that to both you and the Levi's.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, board. Happy holidays.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
So I have one piece of unfinished business. I need to correct the record. On November 16th, the town clerk stamped a variance resolution for Philip Zemke and Stephen Bear for a property at 298, 398. Oh gosh, I'm looking at it here. I'm sorry, 398 Spring Lake Road. The variance resolution has an incorrect grid and parcel number. So the variance resolution says for the grid number 6272-12-927701. It should read 6473-05-012-773. And I will be correcting that, but I wanted to make it part of the record.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to say that, holidays coming up. This has frequently been kind of a slow period for the ZBA. We've asked Ann to prepare us some little more information on why she thought or thinks that an increase to the escrow account would be advisable. And we'll consider that at the next meeting. As of now, that's the only item on the agenda. If nothing else comes up, why then we'll put that over to February on the off chance that we get January off. Is that okay?
So the next meeting is January 12th. And the submission deadline is noon of Tuesday, January 4th. which gives Mr. Fennell a chance to receive any application.
Okay, and if nothing comes in, then we'll consider the escrow account at the following meeting in February. And if anybody knows anyone that they think might want to be on the ZBA. Now, I have no idea what the town board does or how they do it, but you know.
Well, if you ever
I
find
think it
out,
would
let
be
me
to
know.
all our, I'm sorry?
If you ever
Go
find out,
ahead.
let me know. If you ever find out, then you should let us all know.
I got no inside information.
There's
But
never really any
the,
discussion, so why would we have any, you know?
but I have tried to see about increasing our numbers. I think it would be a benefit to all of us. And
I never thought we should cut our numbers back.
well, that was okay. So happy holidays to everybody.
Motion
Thank
to
you very much,
adjourn.
Madam Chair.
Cindy,
Yeah.
you've done a great job, Kate, this year. Thank you for
Yeah.
your service.
Oh, sure. Thanks.
So
Thank
I
you
think
for all
we-
being
You've
such
been
good.
a good chair. You really have. I appreciate
We
your
all
service.
try our best. Can
We-
I get a
we-
motion to adjourn?
8:04, okay.
I move
So
to
moved.
adjourn.
Yeah, I'll leave
Excuse
that
me,
alone.
I want to add kudos to our stalwart secretary. And you
There
are
you go.
terrific all the time. Thank you.
Thank
Oh.
you, Ann.
Y'all
Okay,
have a
we
good
still need
night.
a second on that adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Aye.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank